Sasa hii mi naona nimechanganikiwa. But when you look at me siwezi I'm never confused at all.
Mambo vipi? Karibu sana to the Full Goes to School podcast. Today is another good day. Na leo na react to a K24 video inaitwa Political Road to 2022. Morning review by Jeff Mote. Na Jeff Mote has been around. Amekuwa in the media for a while. The reason I'm reacting to this video ni juu iko na... Someone said something very interesting up and down, so I thought naweza go through the same and break it down because I think it's very important to where Kenya is today. So yeah, let's get straight to the video. Karibu sana. Cheers.
From the bottom structures, because we are emulating, creating parties like ANC in South Africa, NRM in Uganda, where we have a party that outlives the current leader. We have those of us who are serving in it. We build an ideology where people can be centered around it for a long time. So we may not be old like others, but that does not stop us from putting in the requisite structures to help us be anchored on the people, outlive those of us who are in the office, so that we drive a narrative that will change this country once and for all. Because the little time we have been in existence as UDA, we have now brought in a paradigm shift whereby the politics are shifted from talking about positions. We are now talking about what we will do for our people. So that is a sign that we are outliving ourselves and we are creating the discussion centered around the people. So we are committed to that cause. We are putting in the necessary structures to ensure this party will outlive even the current leader we have, His Excellency the Deputy President, so that it doesn't die like the way Jubilee is going to die with His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. We want UDA after 2027, once we are done with the two-term for the president we are going to elect, we can proceed with another leaders, because it is not about positions, it's about the people and how we are empowering them. Because an empowered people with an ideology in a party, it can surely live for as long as we are around. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, Odanga, person just...
Well, now, hii Kongo ilikuwa very interesting start because this guy, I'm assuming ni a UDA guy, speak a whole load of nothing. A whole load of nothing. Now, let's break down what he said. Now, this guy started by saying, with UDA, they're building a party enye wanataka ikuwe kama NRM in Uganda and ANC in South Africa. Now, interestingly, both these parties were revolutionary parties. They were resistance movements. Zilianza ka resistance movements, right? Now, ANC ilianza 1912. Na ilianza ka a resistance to apartheid, yeah? Imebaniwa mara nyingi, imekuwa broken down. But the history in South Africa is very instructive to what ANC is. As in, to understand ANC, you'd have to understand South African politics. Same thing, NRM. NRM ilikuwa a resistance movement in Uganda that was started to overthrow Milton Obote's government. Yeah. In fact, Museveni declare as the president. So when this guy uses NRM and ANC to say now they're building a party of ideology, when he also says ideology, sijui what they mean, sijui what he means by that. When he says they want to build a party of ideology, but the examples and a give of an ANC and NRM, then kwangu inaniambia, I don't know, is only two languages, because we are not, as much as, yes, I can't of course take one from what he said and say that they're trying to build a resistance movement. No, I'm not saying that that's what he is saying. But anasema his major point was they're building a party that will outlive their current members and become a party of the future. A party that goes cycle after cycle after cycle and even is present 100 years from now, right? A party that is present 100 years from now. I get that. But those examples are just interesting to me. Now, the other things he said ni just political speak for saying nothing. Because when he's saying they're building a party for the people, to work for the people, when politicians say this, I nasikianga tu vibaya, because political parties are supposed to represent certain values that we hold dear, not they get values on our behalf. They're supposed to get their values from us. They're not supposed to do something for us. You get? They're supposed to, we elect them to represent our values. So when a politician fronts a certain bill that goes to become policy, it because that is what we want, right? So haezi enda they're not going there to do something for us. Ati we're going to make lives better for Kenyans. No, my friend, who are you? You're going there to do what I send you there to do, to represent and to represent our issues, package it into a policy document, into a bill, right? That then helps more than just the community, right? Helps more than just the people who initially proposed that thing. But you're not going there to be Jesus. We're not looking for Jesuses. Where's he Jesus? We're going there to save us. No, you're going there to represent our interests. So we have interests first, then you represent them. So I've always interested to, it's always interesting kusikia a politician akiongea about that dynamic. Okay, let's proceed.
Push back on that one as well and prod you further, because even as Jubilee came into power, they had the same vision that you're espousing here. They wanted a political party that can go for very many years. We remember them having consultations with the Chinese Communist Party. They were actually looking at best political practice to make sure that Jubilee lives on. We had the president and now the hopeful UDA presidential candidate, deputy party leader of Jubilee in that as well. What do you think in your perspective went wrong? They had the...
Also very interesting. As in, sikuwa najua Jubilee walikuwa najaribu kumodel their party from the CCP, but also very interesting. The CCP ilianza also as a resistance movement in, I think, 1921, yeah? 1920s, I'm not very sure. But ilianza also as a resistance movement enye ili grow to become the CCP in a one-party rule country, China, that is, yeah? So yes, imekuwa there for very many years, and China has been through very many cycles. The political system is a bit different, but we are very, very different from China, and our system is very, very different from the CCP. So is it that they wanted when they give these examples, do they give these examples because these parties are good examples of where their party wants to be, or because they want to espouse the values of these countries, the values of these parties? Crazy. That's just interesting to me.
Vision, they had some of those leaders who will be in UDA. What happened to Jubilee? Why did we have a split down the middle and a party that might not live to the duration they thought it would?
Thank you, Jeff. I think all of us in this room have the answers, because when the deputy and His Excellency the President had a good party, they had the Big Four agenda, they were doing so well. The problem only happened when a wrong friend was let into the house, a friend who has a history of rocking parties. That's where the whole issue began.
So the former PM's entry into this particular relationship...
That's what changed the matrix, because then he came in with his own other agenda, which was not the whole agenda that the two who had crafted the party and they had the idea where they wanted the Kenyans to had in mind.
Okay.
Okay. Hitting a trailer there. I don't know. Personally, you create parties, as in we're still a very young democracy, had to just sort out our values yet. These are all rat games, yeah? Wanacheza all these rat games, and until sisi wenyewe as the population figure out what our interests are, then figure out what particular priorities are for every election cycle, then this doesn't stop. Because of course, hawa watu wanacheza ni a fun game of alignment. Of course, all of them are trying to win. It's not like they're going off any ideas they have or any value system. They're just trying to win until ile siku wata realize, okay, this is what Kenyans want this time, and I need to align myself with this. This is the belief system of my community, and I'm strongly aligned with that. This is the certain belief system that I belong to. This is the platform that elected me to this position, or and of course sisi tutakuwa tunawa interrogate pia on those belief systems. If you don't truly believe in that, then we'll know, and then we'll kick you out until you get to a point where a politician is tied by what they believe, and how they live. Then there's nothing we're talking about. So saizi ata these things are here, ati sijui the wako barred from changing parties after nomination. To me, that's BS, because hatuja sort out what the fundamental problem is, that hakuna belief systems that we are firmly behind. Kama mimi, I truly believe in freedom. So say economic freedom, for example. So I'll find a party that believes in economic freedom and a leader who believes in economic freedom. Now, haezi jump to a party that is pro state ownership ama pro control, because then ata lose watu wake wa freedom. You get? So until we get to that point, there is no conversation. I don't think so.
I want us to just also look at another story as we talk about this political road to 2022. Yesterday, of course, all media reporting about Chair of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, exiting from the multi-sectoral team that would be getting the country ready for the polls. Many questions were asked as to why he would make such a move, and he said it was because he felt in doing that, his independence as chair of the commission would be compromised. Now we are seeing on the Standard's front page, rather, that the reason why he did this is because he was supposed to report the undertakings of the commission to this particular multi-sectoral team, thereby already curbing its independence. What do we think about this team in place, not in law? There's no law guiding this particular team put together, but it's in place as well.
Jeff, allow me another 1 second.
There are a lot of rebuttals going on here.
That is, I mean,
okay, then let's do 30.
Just 1 second.
Let's 30 seconds on that, then we move forward.
All along, Kenyans has been guided by the African socialism that dictates the equitable sharing of resources and equality. And from the independence, that manifesto was domiciled in Kanu. And that's how the secession of paper number 10 of 1965 came in. Odanga might be a vista in Jerusalem. I would refer him to secession of paper number 10 of 1965. And today, Kanu, led by Gideon Moi, has perfected that and is even moving forward to now what is called center-right, moderate, where you are moderate, you are not extreme. And we're doing that deliberately because we understand the economic intricacies of this country. We understand that every Kenyan has a right to own property. Every Kenyan has a right to contribute in the development of economic progress of our country. That is where KANU beats them. And lastly, KANU is the only party that has got structures all over, including my village. I've not seen the Yellow Fever Party in my village. They are not there. So even if they say they are new, they have a lot to do, and that's why they should take time to progress. The president told them yesterday, most. So Danga Pesa, relax. Number two, on the issues of IEBC, I'll tell you, Jeff, the provisions of...
Before this guy goes on your story IEBC, that part there is exactly why I wanted to react to this video. Now, anasema Kenya is guided by African socialism, sessional paper number 10 of 1965. Now, I've read sessional paper number 10 of 1965. Now, according to me, for 2021, it's a terrible document. It's a terrible, terrible document. Now, why, in an outline, why African socialism, right? Now, nasema the reason why they chose African socialism is because as much as wanna believe in some in some theories of socialism, for example, Karl Marx's theory, of the class struggle, as much as I want to believe in aspects of that, they didn't want to choose between Western capitalism and Eastern communism. So they chose a midpoint because they didn't could have a position of non-alignment. Well, we all know what was happening in the 60s with the Cold War. Ilikuwa a post-war period of a lot of tensions, yeah? And most countries coming into independence were choosing sides. So, of course, Kenya had to choose a side. So, African socialism is not a theory of development. It's not like it's not like an economic theory of development or something of the sort. And it's something the fathers of this country, the founding fathers, came up with as a strategy for that period. Now we've got an independence. We need to grow. What are the resources we need? Where are we? And what do we need to do? That is why they came up with sessional paper number 10. Now it outlines that one of the big aims was rapid growth. Now, kwa hiyo paper outline a few objectives, which are generally objectives of all societies. Human dignity, democracy, a few objectives. I can list them down. Tunaweza go through the paper on a later podcast. So inasema African socialism in a hinge on two African traditions: political democracy and mutual social responsibility. Which is true, but then when you dig deeper, ikona, like what he said, equitable sharing of resources and everybody participating in the development of the country. Kuna details hidden in there, like that are not very workable in 2021, because right now we do know what works and what doesn't. As much as countries are still experimenting with the best formulas, saizi tunajua generally what works, yeah? So the document outline a few aspects about ownership, which I have a big problem with, because inasema like they didn't believe in absolute individual property rights. The state, as in, kulikuwa na aspects where the government inaingilia into issues too much and in a limit freedom of people. And then I can understand the reasons, because they're saying they didn't want a country where political power and economic power are married, so that tunapata a situation where the country is ruled by a few rich people. The richest people also get to rule the country. That's what they wanted to avoid. But then the fact that the state encroach into the individual's life too much, because the individual was even compelled to contribute into society. Kuna a whole lot of issues hapo in that paper that need to be worked out right, because details ndo zinakujanga kumaliza all these ninis, all these theories and solutions. It's always in the details. Now, for me, the details of that document are terrible. The surface solutions sound very good, sound like, building a country that does this and does that, equitable sharing of resources. I don't even know what equitable sharing of resources is, means according to them. We need to understand what is this thing they're talking about. But yeah, ilikuwa very interesting when he said Kenya is built on African socialism. And I was like, yes, it's important to understand what these politicians believe. It's important, especially saile wanasema vitu kama hizi. It's important to understand what these people believe. It's very, very important to understand what values they're standing on, what solutions they're standing on. Because once we know, then it's, the game has changed. So for KANU, if they still believe in African socialism, then for me, they're out. There's no way I'm even considering any KANU candidate for the running at any level. You get? the same thing. We can talk about, because we can talk about other theories, because of course they try to sneak BBI in, and hata hiyo ni kuna aspects, a lot of aspects that need to be interrogated by us. We can also talk about that, but kwangu ilikuwa very important when this guy said African socialism. That's why we need to know where we stand as individuals. Are you pro-capitalism? Are you pro-socialism? Are you what are you pro-democratic socialism? Are you pro-state control and free market economy? We need to know where we are, so that hatuwezi swaywa na other people's views, because anaongea with a lot of confidence, but that means nothing if what you're saying is hogwash. You get. Now, niko na another problem with this kind of situation, and that's why I wanted to react to this. The media, saizi kuna a big problem with the mainstream media all over the world. The mainstream media is failing the people. Imekuwa almost an enemy. Yeah? Actually, tuna need more independent media everywhere across the world. Now, Kenya's media, I wouldn't say wanna engage in misinformation. So, for example, in this, Jeff haja push any one of them on any of their positions. What do you believe this? Why do you believe this? What does this mean? What does this mean? I'm not saying he is responsible. Of course, the format of the show also doesn't allow him to push them on their positions, but a lot of people consume this kind of information. Nah, I kind of disagree with the format where everyone just gets to speak, to say what they want. Yeah, I would rather two opposing sides with a clear format of you're coming to talk about this. If it's IBC, then it stands on IEBC. Badala ya trading blows on who's the better candidate, because then they never get to exchange blows on ideas. So when the other guy said something about working for the people, angefaa kuwa challenged. When this guy says African socialism, he should be challenged on what he means and what he's talking about. So I have a big problem with a format of the show where everyone just gets to say their ideas unchallenged, because then we never learn anything really. But anyway.
IEBC Act, Section 26 specifically, provides that the IEBC shall be independent and shall not be under control or direction of any other person or institution. But however, down there also it says that it also gives the opportunity to engage stakeholders in the principles of public participation. So if you look at the technical committee that was set up, and they attended the first meeting, and they were to give their views on election preparedness. And this was a multi-sectoral committee involving all stakeholders. It means that for you to progress in this election and guarantee the principles of general election, among them being free, fair, and credible election, that is free from violence and free from intimidation and corruption, then stakeholders from all sectors must sit and look at those issues as we approach general election. To that extent, I don't see any problem. However, Wafula Onyonyi Chebukati, a gentleman that we really respect, the chair of the commission, has come out to tell us that, you know, after reading the TORs, they do realize that their independence will be compromised. I'm not privy to those TORs, so I cannot comment about it. But I want to believe that it is important to respect independent institutions and commissions. It is important to engage independent institutions and commissions. The balance between stakeholder engagement and independence of institutions is what is in contest. So it is only chairman who can tell us to what extent do they feel that the independence of the commission has been interfered with, and it's only the other stakeholders, technical committee, can tell Kenyans that to what extent has it not been compromised and what is the level of engagement. But I can assure you, Jeff, having looked and seen how elections are conducted in this country before, and having participated in a presidential election last election as an SG of a party, I know for sure without stakeholder engagement, without bringing people together, even politicians, then we risk having a flawed election. And you know, with a flawed election, we start fighting. We don't have peace. So for me, I would encourage stakeholders in this election, because we do say election is not a process. You don't wake up from your home and go and vote. You must be registered, you must have an ID, you must be nominated, you must get a certificate, you must campaign. So election is a process that involves pre, during, and post. And that election cycle revolves planning, registration, communication. It's a lot of all things. So I really sympathize with the Chairman Chebukati, but at the same time, I am of the opinion that as Kenyans, we must agree that we engage, but also respect the institutions that are in place because they're independent.
Newton, we're getting to another.
Now, again, spoken like a politician. Najua hii ni a show, but you never get to understand what these guys are saying. Akisema, let's engage stakeholders. Let's bring all politicians together. What does that mean? What our stakeholders ni kina nani? You know, I don't understand what these guys are saying. It's never... Jeff, I wish on the show they can be called out more. I'm asked to elaborate on what they're saying. I'm challenged a bit more on their positions, because we never get to understand what these guys are saying. What are some very good sounding words? Stakeholder management, pre, during, and post is a process. Sijui nini. But then when it comes down to the nitty gritty, to the actual stuff that needs to be done, then it never gets done. It's always this nice sounding concepts zenye wanashinanga wakisema that will never have firm positions on. Personally, mi nafikiria this thing is as simple to just everything centralized. Centralization is always a bad idea. Now, IEBC ni a centralized institution. Now, believe me, it's very easy to bribe 6 commissioners. These guys who have money, because nilikuwa naona some, actually nimereact to that panel interview. Sakaja saying was offered 35 million. 35 million. One individual being offered 35 million. It's not like he was running for positions. He's alikuwa, I think, chairman of TNA. Offered 35 million just to usher someone in. Yeah? As in, that is mind-blowing. That is crazy. Yeah? So, of course, 6 officials can always be bribed. But mimi nafikiria, this thing should be taken to the counties. Kunafaa kuwa na 47 different election boards. It's so hard to bribe 47 different boards. And then elections can be managed at the county level, tallied at the county level, and then the tally inafanywa tu mara moja for the national level, so that we never have to talk about this again. Mina believe we can, of course, when in the podcast we to have a talk about devolution, but Mina believe in proper devolution. It could more devolved than it is right now for very many functions. In fact, at the national level zibaki functions kidogo sana. But for kama hii, very simple. County election boards. That is what I would do. County election boards, we never have to talk about Chebukati again. Because kuna 47 different county offices that are running their affairs based on their county procedures. Right? And then vitu zitakuwa tallied at that level. So that we never have to talk about stakeholder management from, wherever IEBC offices are and the sijui Chebukati anaitwa wapi, because it's very easy to bribe Chebukati. Very, very easy. I'm not saying he's corrupt. I'm just saying everything centralized in attending it towards corruption. Now, we're not seeing anything better from IEBC. We're not seeing good solutions. We're not seeing as if it's being managed better, as if they're running elections better. I think, yeah, let's devolve it. Let's break it. Yeah, at least that is what I would do. so that we never have to talk about this again. Oh, CG Chebukati is a good guy, but politicians need peace. No. Anyway, wacha tusikize kitu anasema.
The break on the show, but quickly, because it wasn't only Chebukati's being part of this team that was a problem, as some other political players also faulted having CS Interior in this particular polling team, the CJ as well, due to the roles they have outside of the team, making sure that the electoral process is fair. If there are any disputes, they definitely end up on the table of the CJ. And of course, CS Interior should make sure the security and that the coordination of the process goes on well. What's your take about this particular team as a whole? Should we rethink the membership of this multi-sectoral team?
Okay, on the multi-sectoral team, what I'll say is we don't need it. Because one, IEBC as constituted in the Constitution is a body that is supposed to be independent, completely independent. And that is why you see a lot of threats are being directed at the IEBC chairperson. Even the other day, I was seeing the ODM brigade sensing defeat in 2022. Because one thing I can tell you is the person who is going to be the president of this Republic of Kenya is not the person who is in a party that has been doing campaigns all through, but the person who will have the most votes on that day. And that is where you see, like specifically, ODM has directed a lot of salvos to the IEBC chair, calling him names, trying to intimidate him. Even the other day I was reading on my friend Honorable Babu Wino's Twitter handle, and it was despicable on what a legislature could talk about Chebukati, and that was uncalled for. So in regards to IEBC, I will really wish that IEBC is left to do its job independently without any interference from any particular quarter. And on the participation of CSs in politics, yes, they are not supposed to. That is in the law. And as a country, we are supposed to adhere strictly to that particular document. Now, as a country, we are at a place where we have great potential. But this potential is withered down by all these push and pull aspects in the society. We need a leader who is going to streamline all these issues. A leader who is going to guide a country forward, not a leader who is going to take us backwards.
Okay.
And as young people, I would like to encourage them. Let us use our brains. Let us think. Let us interrogate these things that are presented to us.
Thank
you.
So
that when we are making a decision, this decision is standing and it will surpass the test of time.
Okay, I want to take a short break at that particular point, Newton. When you come back after the break, of course, looking at some of your tweets as well as we get into the final stretch of our conversation this morning. It's a political road to 2022. Very power-packed panel in studio. Short break.
That was it. That was the end of the reaction video. Asanteni sana. A few interesting points. I think this reaction way of reacting to videos inanipea a chance of talking about a few ideas without, the kawaida way of, it would have to be a classroom way. And of course, Tana, the channel is still too small to get people to debate and talk to. So as we're growing, we'll be reacting to what these guys are saying, because 2022 elections are ziko mbali. Na this is a good way of discussing ideas without, sounding like we're in a classroom or something, because otherwise ningekuwa solo and then the channel is boring and whatnot. So yeah, I reacted to this particular video because of the African socialism bit. I think ilikuwa very interesting. So please, any feedback is highly appreciated. Again, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it too, please niambie hapo chini. And of course, for future videos, you never send links or whatever it is, and to provide social media links. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. Cheers. Have a good one.